Hello, beautiful people of TOPWAR. This is the first episode in which we are able to test this new hero for the army, which is the sister of Mr. Quilly. Her name is SARA, and by the way, regardless if you are planning to use this hero or not, come here into the Lucky Treasury, spend some gems. Often you actually can win some gems back, and make sure you get 9 fragments from this hero because you're getting 1 for watching the video, therefore are 10, and you are unlocking this hero because it's a very interesting hero. So what exactly are you gonna see in this episode from my side? Well, you're gonna see 3 setups compared with each other. And these tests are done with the hero trial, but towards the end of this episode, I'm gonna reveal to you what would be the perfect setup for SARA. Sadly, it's not possible to test it with a hero trial, and if you are curious to see which one that is, all you have to do is keep watching. So let's jump into the hero trial, and we're gonna start with the first setup. So this is how I have configured the hero trial. Obviously, it's super important to stick with the reality and keep all these heroes at level 5 exclusive skill. So you're gonna see first 10 attacks in which the old meta, which is Marvi, Quilly, and Binary being the attacker, versus Marvi, SARA, and Binary being the defender. And after we have a look at those 10 attacks, we're gonna switch and have Marvi, SARA, and Binary being the attacker, while Marvi, Quilly, and Binary is gonna be the defender. So before we jump into the first 10 battle reports, let's have a quick look at the runes, because all the runes I have selected are at level 1 basically, to be realistic, and with the exception of only 2 runes, I'm using everywhere the magnetic pulse. So important on Marvi, since she is a hero with indestructible buff, I'm obviously using the unbreakable, and of course a super awesome rune on Binary, because she's an offense buffing hero, is actually the artillery storm. Even if at level 1 is just a 4%, it's super huge. But there is one more rune I would like to address, especially when it comes down to support heroes. And you find it exactly here, that's the Steel Torrent. So even at minimum level, it's a 4% HP boost, and you're definitely gonna notice the difference. But for this episode, I'm sticking exactly with this setup. And you know what, let's jump directly and put the 10 battle reports on the screen and see what the numbers are telling us. So here we go. Marvi, Quilly, and Binary, all with level 5, are the attacker versus Marvi, SARA, and Binary. So the fields which you see me here marking in red is obviously they lost the battle. And judging only by these 10 attacks, we see here that Marvi, Quilly, and Binary, being the attacker, perform 7.3% slightly better than Marvi, SARA, and Binary. And this is not a big difference. But you know what? Let's drop down the curtain, because we also want to see Marvi, SARA, and Binary when they are attacking, while Mr. Quilly's group has to defend. And here it is, beautiful people. Yeah, it looks kind of a mess, because there are a lot of red fields on this side, which is Quilly's group defending, even though the results are pretty close. And that leads us to a value of 14.7% approximately for this March, Marvi, SARA, and Binary being slightly better when they are attacking. And let me add a couple of words before we're gonna jump into the next setup comparison. So first of all, obviously, beautiful people, if you are doing these tests and are able to have 20 attacks, 50 attacks, 100 attacks, obviously this number will be far more accurate, but I'm still expecting to see a difference when one setup is attacking versus when the same setup is actually defending. So I'm still gonna expect this difference in value. Good, but we wanna have a look at a different setup, which I want to compare it with Marvi, Quilly, and Binary. And yeah, let's jump to my second account. And on this account, I wanted to see something very interesting, which is, again, the tank meta, which is Marvi, Quilly, and Binary, versus this time a setup without the indestructible buff. Why is this such an awesome idea? Because Quilly and SARA are both support heroes with this HP enhancement, and that is stacking, and by the way, till the end of the battle. And nowadays in TOPWAR, the stats are super high, therefore you're gonna have a ton of rounds, And yeah, when it comes down to heroes with indestructible buff, you only have the first 2 rounds, which of course are important. Plus, on the 3rd round, you're going to have a weaker version of the indestructible buff. But this HP buff coming from both Quilly and SARA are actually staying till the end of the battle, while the indestructible buff, it's gone after the 3rd round. So let's put the 10 battle reports on the screen, in which we're going to see Marvy, Quilly, and Binary being the attacker versus Quilly, SARA, and Binary being the defender. And let's see what the numbers are telling us. And that's exactly what you're seeing now on the screen. A far more balanced situation between the attacker and the defender, actually. Though still there are a few red fields here and there. But except with one spike right here, the values are showing us pretty close battles. And based on these 10 attacks and what the numbers are showing us, we see that Marvy, Quilly, and Binary, all with level 5, if they are attacking, well, they have a 5.5% higher performance than Quilly, SARA, and Binary, which, by the way, again, it's not that much. But let's reveal the curtain, because we also want to see what's going to happen when Quilly, SARA, and Binary are actually the attacker, while Marvy, Quilly, and Binary actually have to defend. And yeah, have a look at this mess. Well, that's a lot of red fields. And you may think it's a huge difference. Again, it's kind of not, because the battles are super close, as you see the percentages, and also the end result showing that Quilly, SARA, and Binary, all with level 5 exclusive skill, if they are the attacker, well, they are 10.8% approximately better than Marvy, Quilly, and Binary when they are defending. And honestly, beautiful people, specifically for this question, replacing Quilly with SARA, the answer from my perspective is absolutely super clear. I don't see the necessity to actually do so, though again you see Quilly with SARA together being pretty awesome. But you know what, beautiful people, I told you at the beginning of this episode, I would be super curious to see a certain setup being actually tested. Sadly right now, this is no longer possible to be tested with a hero trial, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because it includes actually 2 heroes, which obviously are no longer accessible by the younger players. Therefore, this information, it's only very interesting for the older players, which already have access to these 2 heroes. And let's start the battle animation, because I will be able to explain you a bit more my thoughts behind this. So let's take actually this battle animation, in which the attacker is going to be downstairs, right here. Let me put it at 1x. So what would be the first setup, which is no longer possible to be tested with a hero trial? Well, sure, you can stick indeed with Quilly and SARA, but as an offense buffing hero, I would actually want to see a hero which doesn't affect the small portion of SARA's passive skill, which allows her, once she gets a full stack of magnetic pulses, every time she wants to apply again the magnetic pulse, that was going to result in a 10% magnetic pulse damage from the level 5 perspective, obviously. So that is one setup, and for that case, I would suggest to see here Mr. Paul, of course with the level 5 exclusive skill. Even Mr. Gypsy is not a bad call. But the other even interesting setup, which indeed includes a hero with the indestructible buff, well, it's going to be something like this. So I would like to see Mr. Duke plus SARA and plus Mr. Poe. Now, why do I want to see that? Because we know that Mr. Duke is always going to hit the back row. In this case, our slots 7, 8, and 9. Now, because we are not having a hero like Binary or Neely, which deploys automatically the magnetic pulses, what's going to happen is Mr. Duke will going to constantly focus fire on the last row, 7, 8, and 9, while at the same time, SARA will also help Duke to kill the slots 7, 8, and 9 even faster, because the stacks will going to pile up and won't be deployed, and it sure sounds super interesting. So once Duke is killing the last row will become slots 4, 5, and 6. Now, a lot of people also have the heavy trooper on slot number 5, by the way. And slots 4, 5, and 6 will be the back row. Therefore, Mr. Duke is going to focus fire on this one, while at the same time also SARA will going to focus fire on slots 4, 5, and 6 with her extra part of her passive skill design. So anyways, beautiful people, this is pretty much everything for today. Obviously, if you want to share your thoughts with us, you are most welcome to do so. You know exactly where the comment section of this video is. As always, if you want to support me, or in other words, encourage me to carry on doing videos on TOPWAR, all you have to do doesn't require you to spend any money. All you have to do is just subscribe to this channel. Obviously, I think it's a great idea to watch my videos till the end. Thank you very much for watching, beautiful people, and I'm gonna catch you in the next one. Ciao, ciao, ciao.